With that, we're going to bring in our featured guest today. I believe most of you can probably tell who he is just from, I'm kind of representing him without doing anything. But we have Josh Chapman from Star Wars Spelt Out, and not just Star Wars Spelt Out, but this might seem a little bit strange, his even more popular podcast, the Peppa Pig podcast. So you think I'm an expert?
Oh yeah, I'm a bit of an expert. But that's pretty close, mate. They go Star Wars and Peppa Pig, just one and the same. Like they should have Peppa Pig conventions on the same time as Star Wars Celebration. They're just so close together. But yeah, thanks for having me, man. A pleasure to be here. Welcome to Stage 4 Lockdown. We're broadcasting from here, which actually kicks in properly at midnight tonight here in Melbourne. We are locking the entire city down for 6 weeks to get rid of this pesky COVID thing. So it's going to be interesting. They're closing the schools, they're closing the childcare, they're closing the shops, they're closing everything, but they can't close the stream, man. The stream goes on.
The stream, we have a healthy stream right now, so that's all that really matters. And it's been a while, getting this in the works, just because it's tough with the time difference, and me doing a live show. If it was recorded, I could record it on a Saturday or Sunday to play it on Monday or whatever it is to work out. But it's just because August is Australia month for the Bacta tank, so Josh is the first one to be on here. It's going to be all Australian content creators.
Nice. I didn't bring anything. I'm just looking for anything particularly Australian. Like, I've got a little. Here you go. I've got a little banana, a little green and gold banana. There you go. That's our sporting teams, our national team at the Olympics. They wear green and gold, and we have a lot of bananas in Queensland. So there you go. That's slightly Australian for you. No Vegemite or anything, but there you go. There's something.
Yeah, I've never understood the Vegemite thing. I tried it once and I didn't like it, but it wasn't like, it's like people seem to either love it or hate it. There's really no in between.
I can't stand it. So I don't get it either. I can't stand the stuff. It stinks. I don't like it. My kids like it, so I have to, if I butter their toast and make it for them in the morning, I kind of put my head back and try not to smell it because it's disgusting. But anyway, some people, like you said, some people love it, some people hate it. I hate it.
And then, even though it is Australia, you're not originally from Australia, correct?
No, I am. I am originally from Australia. I lived in England for 10 years, so people get confused by that. So
all right.
I know I grew up in Australia. I moved to England when I was 25, and I lived there for 10 years. So that's why some people think I still have a British accent and stuff like that. But I've been back in Australia for 6 or 7 years now. So I'm a dual citizen. I got my citizenship in the UK, but I am a born and bred Australian. So don't let the accent or the not liking Vegemite fool you.
Okay, so that's where I had it backwards. I thought never mind.
The other way around. Yeah, no, it happens a lot because I know I talk about England a lot because I was there a long time. So
it's whenever you talk about like your formative years, you always talk about England. So that's what I had that confused, but that was on me.
Made me a man,
And now your podcast.
Yes.
This one right here. Where's that?
Oh, there it is. We could talk about the beanies later, but Michael is the #1 champion of the beanie right there. So that's the Celebration Chicago exclusive merchandise right there that was given out to friends, and we were lucky to hang out at Celebration. And I don't remember when did you get yours? Do you remember? Was it at the house on the first? Were you at the?
No,
I got. Were you on the floor somewhere? Maybe.
I was on the floor when everybody was sitting around one of the big tables, and you handed it out.
Yep.
It was because for me it was weird because like I knew like Pappas and Grasso and Araj and Les. Because it just happened to be anytime there was the East Coast meetup, Araj was always in town, or they were kind of scheduled around him being here. So I knew them very well, and then everybody else I knew a little bit because like with
you
Twitter.
Just get to know them, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. But I only knew them a little bit, so it was kind of weird that like I'm really great friends with these people, and I talk to them all the time. And then there's other people that I like Emily Lind. She lives in New York City, but I only see her at the meetups. And we don't have as strong of like I go to Pappas' house. It takes me, even though we both live in New York City, it takes me 2 hours to get to his house in Queens, taking the trains or whatever. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that's just, it was kind of weird because then all these people that I had no idea who they were coming in and meeting them, and it's not that it wasn't inviting. It's just kind of
a lot
strange.
to take in, isn't it? Yeah. So we had the Australian crew here. We had the sort of 4 or 5 Australians who came over, and then we knew Steele, obviously, because he's from Melbourne, like we are, and like I've been friends with Steele for a few years as well. And so we sort of had that connection, and we knew the Bad Motivators guys a bit. I'd had those guys on the show, and Claire and Charlie and those guys, and then Emily and Grasso. So it was all a bit of everything. But it's like we hadn't met these people in person, so you just sort of, are they going to like us? Or But I with the beanies, I took about 50 over, and they were going to be for friends who'd been on the show to start with, and then just it was people that you met and you liked them, you let them have one. And then, early those first couple of days at Celebration, I had like the bag was just full of them, and I was just sick of carrying them as well. So I was probably just like, have a beanie, man, like let's get them out here. By the second or third day when I'd run out, they'd sort of gotten popular around the floor. People were wondering where you could get them from and stuff, because they thought that they were real merch, and didn't hurt that it was freezing in Chicago. And then by the time I got to sort of Saturday, I was like, oh, sorry, they're all gone. Like I'd given them out. So yeah, I mean, that's not a very good description of my podcast, mate, but we have to address the beanie, because you're the number one beanie fan. Like you.
Well, I carry it with me everywhere, even in the summertime, because it's a great photo opportunity. Because like if someone asks me what one of my most prized possessions, Star Wars possessions are, it's this thing, because it's not the beanie itself. I mean, it's just a hat, but it's the memories and the camaraderie that it holds with it. Like someone has their favorite T-shirt from when they go to Disney World or go on vacation somewhere, and they wear it all the time, and whatever it is, just because it brings back the memories for them. And that's really what this represents. And then like if I go visit my parents and I'm in Buffalo, I take it there. So I take a picture next to a buffalo. And then if I'm in Niagara Falls, I take a picture next to Niagara Falls. Or, whenever I'm running around somewhere in New York City, that's a landmark that, I mean, if you're from New York City, you don't go to Times Square.
Yeah.
But if I'm in Times Square, I'm going to have the hat to take a picture in Times Square, or the Statue of Liberty, things along of that nature. But
I've been to New York a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. And yeah, I love New York. It's awesome. Like the first time you go, of course, you do all the tourist stuff. It was all very different for me, because like first time I went, did a bunch of tourist stuff with friends. We were there over Christmas in about 2005, 2006. And then the second time I went with my 2 flatmates, and they're very arty people. So they wanted to stay in Brooklyn. They wanted to do all the arty, cool, all that kind of stuff. And then the third time I went was a couple of mates, and we just sort of drank and just walked up and down the streets and had it was just like a party week, really. So, but yeah, to the podcast, I should probably mention that. Yeah. So Star Wars Spelled Out's basically an interview podcast. We have friends on who have got other podcasts, or people I think are interesting and want to talk about Star Wars. Sometimes it's just friends and family. Sometimes it's other podcasters. Sometimes it's people involved, one way or another with Star Wars. So we've been going for over 100 episodes now for a couple of years. And then Peppa Pig, I do with my good buddy Matt Frost, who people will probably know, Froosh on Twitter. And we were just a couple of dads who watch a lot of Peppa Pig because we've got little kids. So we thought we'd start breaking down the episodes and having fun with them. And that's kind of where we're at with that. And the thing about the Peppa Pig one is for some strange reason, Michael, no one's ever done a Peppa Pig podcast. So you did say that we're the most popular, one out there just by default, because there's no one else. There's a few Star Wars podcasts out there, but no other Peppa Pig ones.
Yeah. My girlfriend found out I listened to a Peppa Pig podcast, and she didn't ask me why or any reasoning or anything like that. She's like, I want to start listening to it. And she doesn't watch Peppa Pig or anything, but it piqued her curiosity. And she's like, I want to listen to it. And it's one of those things that I really don't care about Peppa Pig, but it's just, listening to you and Frosh talk about it, and just kind of like hanging out with friends, and it's 15 minutes every couple of weeks, and I mean, that's really why I listen to a lot of the podcasts. I mean, I listen to a ton of podcasts, but you can tell, like, for example, I was in the mountains. I had a memorial service to go to this week, so I was gone for 5 days, and I would post what I listened to, and it would be 2 days worth, which was half of what my normal 1 day's worth would have been, if that. So you can kind of tell when I only post a couple on there, the ones that I kind of favor. A lot of the other ones are just kind of filler when I'm walking the dog or cooking or whatever. Because I'm not a big music person. I like music, but it's just I'd rather listen to my friends talk about Star Wars than listen to music. So
yeah, it's definitely a way of keeping up with my friends as well, especially the more you get to know people and stuff like that. And it's been harder this year just because I've been working from home. Like, I'm not commuting anymore. So it's harder to work. I mean, we're lucky enough to have an office in our house. We've got a dedicated room to work that my partner and I both, she's usually on a desk right next to me as well. So it's not as easy as to sort of just listen to stuff and not be distracted. So there are always ones I've got to get to. But sadly, sometimes you find yourself falling behind. And, it's been noticeable and the podcasts I do, the downloads aren't quite what they were a little while ago. But I think that's just the way it is. You just got to keep on plugging along. And I think with Star Wars as well, people are a little burnt out on Star Wars after a while. I think when Mandalorian comes back, all the interest will start flying back up again, I reckon, because you need a break every now and then.
Yeah. Well, there's also a lot, since lockdowns have happened all over the world, there's a lot more podcasts that started. And a lot of them,
celebrities doing them. I'm like, stay away, celebrity. Stop having famous people on there and taking our numbers. I think Michelle Obama, started a podcast. I'm like, hasn't she got enough, Michelle? As long as she doesn't start doing what about Peppa Pig. If Michelle Obama starts a Peppa Pig podcast,
there's going to be riots all over the world.
I just think we'll be shut down because everyone will listen to what she's got to say rather than two idiots from Australia.
But I mean, it's true. Like I always live stream and I always do YouTube, and it was 1 or 2 live streams a week, and then I try and get in another video somewhere else. And now it's just I don't have anything else to do. So I mean, there's times in a 30-day period that I'll do 20 or 25 live streams, whether it's video games or toys or whatever. Some of them are only 5 or 10 minutes long. Some of them are 5 hours. It just all depends on what I can get away with, what the boss lets me do. A lot of times,
we're just, I've got little kids, so it's just finding time is just, we're about to start this stage 4 lockdown here in Melbourne, and the big thing for us is that they're shutting childcare down. So that means that we have the kids will be home with us when we're supposed to be working. So I've got a 5-year-old and she's pretty good. She can take care of herself for the most part, but we've got a 18-month and she needs to be looked after the whole time, really. So we're just kind of figuring out how we're going to work that out, how's it going to affect working and all that kind of stuff. So finding time to do podcasts, I've already sort of put a little thing out saying, hey, it'll come out when it comes out, because it's just going to be hard to find the time, really. And the thing is also, even in the evenings when we're asleep, they're long days and you've got little kids, and sometimes you just want to sit on the couch. And the early thing is now, because the football season here was delayed a few months, they've been having football every night. Normally they just have it on weekends. And in order to catch up all the games, there's football on TV every night now. So I can just sit on the couch and watch football and not think about anything else. So yeah, we'll get through it. It's 6 weeks. It's not going to be too bad. And then we'll be getting, by the time we get out, it'll probably be a few weeks until Mandalorian. So that'll be a nice little reward. Nice little getting out of lockdown reward.
Yeah, in October, I believe it's starting. So
I think we get out mid-September. We're supposed to, so it's going to be close. Hopefully.
Maybe they change the dates, or maybe you'll get it sooner. I don't know. They can't get their act together with Disney Plus.
Give it to us early.
The U.S. ones will be the ones that are wearing the eye patches when that happens, not the other way around like it normally does.
Yeah. Well, it's good here because when you guys got the first 2 episodes of Mandalorian, I think a week before we did, and then they released all of them sort of by the time we got Disney Plus the week after. All 3 were online, but obviously Australians being Australians, we just found a way. But the cool thing is that they come out when they would get released weekly. It would be I think it was like 2 a.m. or something in America where they would drop them, or 3 a.m. or some sort of crazy time. And in Australia, it was 7 p.m. So it was, you'd finish your dinner, put the kids to bed, sit down, brand new Mandalorian, right at the perfect viewing time on a Friday night to sit down and watch that. So that's worked out pretty. That was the same for Clone Wars as well. So hopefully they'll stick to that, and we'll be in that little sweet spot. So it's good. You see a lot of, videos of, Corey and Noah bleary-eyed, live streaming at 2 a.m. watching Clone Wars because they've dragged themselves out of bed because they don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah, it drops. So they drop it at midnight, California time, which is 3 a.m. New York City time. So I get it at 3 a.m. and I try to do. The one time I had to set an alarm to get up. The other time I was awake, and I try to do a stream myself. But I learned that if I try and stream it live, it's going to get shut down.
Yep.
And I lost my YouTube channel for a week doing that.
Just don't mess around.
If I like watch it and record myself watching it, that's fine. And a lot of people are going to view it. And then after that's done, then I just need to put what I need to put the recorded version of the show on, and then play that, and then you're okay. If you cover it, you got to cover a little bit. But when you do the live stream of it, they think you're trying to be,
like broadcasting the whole thing.
Yeah.
I know Matt and Sean from Blue Bantha Milk have been having trouble this week because they did a Rogue One watch along, and I think they've had that video pulled down about 5 times because they've been trying to find a way to put the screen on there to have the reaction on there live. Otherwise, it's sort of just two guys talking about like something that you don't know what they're talking about. So I don't know how they got around that. It's always a bit of a tricky business, YouTubing.
Yeah, Noah and Corey would be the ones to ask about that because I've tried to figure it out, and I have all these theories that I wasn't monetized at the time, so I figured that they just took mine down because they couldn't make any money off of it if people watched it. But people that they can make money off of, they just leave it on there and say, okay, fine, go ahead and show up. We're taking your money. So I mean, that's one of the things. And then the streaming thing is what I was told is the reason that it was like that. But by the time the next one comes out, I won't be in trouble anymore. So I'm on because I had it suspended for 1 week. If it happens again, I lose the channel for 2 weeks.
You're put in YouTube jail.
Yeah, but I'm off probation in August. So then I can fool around with it again. And then, I have Twitch and I have a couple other things I'm messing around with too. So it's, I always got to have a backup plan. Make sure that, the YouTube police and Disney don't get you.
Yeah. It's too many moving parts for me. Like, I would do YouTube. I used to do YouTube videos. That's sort of how I started my friendship with Steel from Steel Wars, actually, because I was sort of a fan of his show, and we sort of interacted before, and I'd met him at live shows and stuff, but he was looking for someone to do some help with some YouTube stuff. And I had sort of spare time, and I just said I'd help him do that. And I was just doing his silly little videos on his YouTube page. I think they're still up there somewhere. And yeah, they've been good. And that's sort of how I started out, but it was just like, yeah, just all the work involved just to do it, especially because I would be taking his audio and putting funny clips and we'd have to find a way to put Star Wars clips in so they didn't get pulled down, and we do little animation things and just little jokes and stuff, and it was good fun. But then by the time my second kid rolled around, I just had to say, oh dude, I don't have the capacity to do it anymore, which is a bit of a bummer. But yeah, it's good fun, but it's a tightrope YouTube.
Yeah, I started this before Solo came out, just because I never listened to a podcast before, but I'd seen some people on YouTube. Like I watched a couple really good ones and then a couple really bad ones, and I was like, if these guys can do it and they're horrible, I was like, I can do it, and I want to do it to make friends. Like I don't want to do it to make money, because I know the chance of me ever hitting it big, it's one in 10,000 Star Wars YouTube channels that are going to actually be able to retire and make money off of it, or whatever, outrageous it is. So I started just kind of doing a little bit of everything, and I was like, I don't like doing this. And then I started doing, I had the year by year book, and I started doing it day by day. So every day I'd put up a video that was 3 or 5 minutes long, but I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to use the programs and everything, and going through myself and going through page by page every day, going through that entire book. It was taking me like 4 or 5 hours to do it. And I did 2 months and I just burnt myself out. And I was like, I'm done with YouTube. I'm done. I made some friends. So,
you got your friends,
I made some friends. We'll see where it goes. And well, then I went to Celebration and I was like, this is what I wanted it to be. I wanted to be able to talk to people and have friends. And I was like, this is what I want. I got to figure out how to do it. And linking people up with StreamYard is too hard. Or I'm linking people up with Skype is too hard, and running through OBS because I want it to be where anybody can come on. Like when you get done today, anybody that wants to come on can come on and talk Star Wars with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a ton of people. Sometimes there's a couple of people or nobody, and it's just me, by myself. And then I was at a bar talking with my friends, and the one guy's like, "Oh, you went to Celebration? I didn't know you like Star Wars." I was like, "Dude, I've talked to you 20 times about my Star Wars YouTube channel." It's like, "Oh, I didn't really know think you were telling the truth about that." And I was like, "What?" And then it was like, but this is what I want. I want it to be where you can just sit around and talk about Star Wars. And then I found StreamYard, and I was like, this is great because all I got to do is give anybody a code. When you get done or towards the end, if there's anybody that has questions, instead of getting right into a podcast, they can come right on here and ask us. So I mean that's where it kind of got perfect. And then COVID hit, and then everybody's doing it, and my numbers went down, but I never did it, for the numbers. I just recently got monetized, and still, I'm making a couple cents a day. On a good day, I'll make $1, but that's once a month usually, and that's when I have. That's usually on a Monday going into a Tuesday after everybody wants to watch whatever happens on the rest of the week, just a little bit. But yeah, you can't make any money off this. If you can, in my eyes, if you can break even, you're doing well.
Yeah, I think you've either got to be like really, really knowledgeable and have everything, you'll be like a Molly and Alex, like Star Wars Explained, who are really who live it, who are really knowledgeable, do great stuff, really good interactions, all that kind of stuff, or you've got to basically be someone who's prepared to just make stuff up and hope for the best, so that's kind of thing. Or you've got to be like an angry ranter, and who wants to be an angry ranter, and who can be bothered just making stuff up all the time, throwing shit on a wall hoping it sticks.
I mean, if you're gonna pay me $250,000 a year, I'll make shit up. But if that means I'm gonna lose all my friends, then
well, that's the thing. You come to Celebration 2 years with like, what happened, dude? You want to hang out? It's like, oh, you went to the dark side, Michael. You just started an angry ranter, channel. You just you sold out and took the cash. But I remember when I had Molly from Star Wars Explained on the podcast, and I just sort of said, how are you guys going to go with Star Wars sort of ramping down this year? Is it going to be hard for you guys? And they went, no, like books, comics, all that kind of stuff is still going to happen. Like there'll be all the, all the stuff that they use to make up for the fact that there's no movie. That'll be really good for us. So hopefully with COVID, they're sort of kicking along all right. But they've always got movies, they've always got videos going, those guys. So it's just a commitment. It's just a time commitment I could do.
Yeah, there's always something going on, and like right now, I'm getting the advanced copy books, so I need to have those books read and put out. So
you get them, do you? How do they just? Are you just pre-ordering them and getting them, or is someone sending them to you in a special box, or what's going on with that? How's that work?
Well, I should be getting my first one. What happened is I interviewed George Mann previously. He did the Missing Fables book, and I was talking with the publicist again, and I said, I was talking with her about interviewing him again, and she said, well, when do you want to do it? And I said, well, it's going to have to be after the book comes out, because I had to order it. I'm not on the list to get advanced copies or whatever, and that got me on the list to get advanced copies. Nice. And then I talked to another publisher that I had been dealing with before, and I said, hey, who do I need to talk to? She said, that's me, you're on the list. And I said, okay, great. And then I found out there's
free stuff.
There's another online one that gets books from not just one publisher, from all different publishers, and you apply for the books. Well, when you apply for the books, it still goes back to the publisher on whether or not they let you have the book or not, to get the online version. So it's still the same people I was dealing with before. I didn't know I was dealing with them, and so it's just kind of cutting out the middleman. And this way, I'm gonna actually get hard copies, because because I'm old, maybe, I don't know. I can't read off the computer. I need the hard copy. But it's baby steps, and then have the review to come out that day, or that's still something I'm trying to figure out on what to do, because like the Poe Dameron book comes out tomorrow, and it's a young reader's book. I haven't done a review for it yet, and I'm not sure if I want to put out tomorrow the first day, if I want to put out a like non-spoiler review and then give it a couple days and put out the spoiler review, because we have a lot of friends that can't get the book, and it's going to be spoiled for them, whatever's in the book and whatever comes out. Even if I don't do it and they decide not to watch mine, somebody's going to put it on Twitter, and somebody's going to do whatever. And I'm kind of struggling with that, because I know I'm not going to.
If you just tag it and have your spoiler section, you could just do it and say, from this point, here's the spoiler talk. Avoid it if you don't want to know. And if you responsibly, with spoilers, if people responsibly tag stuff and alert people, they can do it. Like, it's hard. I mean, I know leading up to movies and stuff like that, and Mandalorian was a bit different, because I knew that everyone was going to get it at the same time. So no one's going to see it until this point. Basically nothing got out. Rise of Skywalker was a little bit trickier, because you have, premieres and press screenings and all that kind of stuff. And Australia, we actually got it about 2 days before America. So we actually seen it. By the time we got out at midnight here and had seen it, I think it was still another day and a half before the States got it. So, and I was very conscious. I didn't spoil anything. And we did our review podcast straight after the screening, where we had people like Catherine and Andy and the Geek Dudes and other people who were all at the screening on there. But it was all tagged like spoiler, 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 spoiler. And I certainly didn't write I'm not on Twitter like, hey, do you want to find out about Rey being a Palpatine? Or, there's a responsibility, I think, but also you can't trust people. Someone's going to, I just kind of, those few days from leading from the premiere, with Rise of Skywalker and all the Star Wars movies, from the moment that people have seen it, I'm usually off social media anyway, to try and avoid stuff like movies. Books, I don't really care as much, but movies, I like to try to go in as spoiler-free as possible.
Yeah, this time I went in full of spoilers, and
oh, really? So you knew it all?
I knew it all, and I stayed off, but I stayed off Twitter. I didn't stay off. I was on there very little. Just a couple times, just checking in and seeing what was going on, but stayed away from the actual spoilers from the movie. But the spoilers from the leaks, I knew all about those. But now, like with the Mandalorian, I think I went on Twitter that day because it dropped, and I was going over to Mike's house out in Queens to watch it with him, and I stayed off Twitter the entire day. I think I went on like 3 times just to check really quick, and anything that looked like it might have remotely had anything to do with Mandalorian, I skipped it or turned the phone off right away. So I was completely surprised watching it at 8:00 at night.
Oh, good. You didn't get Baby Yoda spoiled for you.
Nope. No, which was great, because I had no idea.
I'd watched it. We did a screening. Matt and Sean again put on a screening the night it dropped in Australia. They had a bar here in Melbourne, I think in Brunswick, I think it was, which means nothing to anybody who doesn't live in Melbourne, which had like a little 30 or 40-seater cinema out the back of the bar that you could hire for free. So we were all going to go watch the first 2 episodes, because the first 2 episodes are dropping in Australia. But I was on, what was I on? Rogue One, I think, with Johnny. I think the day The Mandalorian came out, or maybe just after it dropped. So I actually watched it. The first episode, I think I watched early, because I was going to be on Rogue One talking with Johnny. I'm like, well, Johnny's not going to be able to hold his tongue for that whole time not to talk about what's happening. So I watched it before, but so it was quite good though, because I went to the screening anyway, because it was going with a bunch of friends, and we did a live pod after. But it was nice because just to watch it again, it was on a big projector and stuff. Just going, like looking around, going, they got no idea this Baby Yoda's coming. You know what I mean? Like as soon as it was about to happen, I'm just going, looking at people going like, here it comes. And everyone's just like, what is going on? So it was very cool to kind of know that. But, with great power comes great responsibility, Michael. You know this.
Yes, this is true. So now, how being from Australia originally, since that was news to some of us, yes. How did you get it? How did you get into Star Wars?
I got into Star Wars because of my older cousin Glenn, who is, I want to say, maybe 3-4 years older than me. So, and we grew up, I've got a very large family on my dad's side. So I've got about sort of 20, 23 cousins. So my dad has a bunch of brothers and sisters. So growing up, we spent a lot of time with our cousins. And Glenn was one of the ones I was sort of closest to. And he was a huge Star Wars fan. So he was sort of the one who, he was a couple of years older, like when Star Wars, I was sort of born in 78. So Star Wars wasn't out. But by the time I was sort of like 5 and into Star Wars, he was like 7 or 8. And he had the toys, and he was really, that was his thing. He got an awesome collection as well. I've really got to get him. He's been on the podcast before. I've got to get him back on the podcast and show he's got like a great vintage collection and stuff. And a lot of my family members and cousins I've had on the show talking Star Wars have all sort of cited him as like the one who got them into Star Wars. So he was the driver. So we would always talk about Star Wars. We'd play Star Wars. We'd watch Star Wars. And that was kind of where it started. I don't really remember a time that I wasn't into it. I saw Return of the Jedi in the cinema when I was 5. And that was one of the first movies I ever saw in the cinema. And I still remember leading up onto that. And even my parents had me quite young. So my parents had me when they were 18. So they were about 18 or 19 when Star Wars came out. So they were fans of it. They just went and saw it. So we always had Star Wars stuff growing up. The sad part of that story is that Glenn hated The Last Jedi and it nearly killed his Star Wars fandom. But he did like Rise of Skywalker and he came back. But it was quite sad. I had him on the podcast after Last Jedi, and he was quite crestfallen about Luke. I think he didn't really like what happened to Luke. But I've seen him since, and he's come around to it a bit. He's the love's back, but it was a bit of a worry that when the guy that who you got all your Star Wars from sort of fell out of love with it a little at a time. So that's where it started for me. And then I was the guy when the prequels came around. Star Wars is back. I was the cheerleader. I'd organize the midnight screening with friends, and I was the Star Wars guy. And then with the Disney return when it all came back again, I was really lucky to find a bunch of friends here in Melbourne and then around the world who were into it. And, a lot of that sort of started with Steele's podcast and then the shows that he would put on in Melbourne. And we would, you'd go to the first one and you'd sort of sit by yourself and watch these shows. And then by the third one, you're all sitting a bit closer to each other and talking after the show. And then by the fifth one, you're all having a beer before the show and, and then you're going to screenings and doing stuff. So it's been really good having a group of friends here in Australia that we sort of still are in touch talking Star Wars, and then everybody else around the world now. It's just the missing out on celebration this year has been pretty tough. It's a pretty tough pill to swallow, I think. And now knowing we have to wait so long as well is going to be hard.
Well, that's everybody that's I already talked about. Everybody that's coming on this month is Australian or from Australia or lives there, whatever it ends up being. Because I was sitting there thinking, I was like, and I've tried a bunch of times trying to work things out with people, and it's just really hard because it's if
the time zone is just a killer, isn't it? It's just
I mean it's 9 o'clock for me, but it's 11 or 12 o'clock for you. Now are Melbourne and Sydney the same time?
Yeah, so Melbourne, Sydney the same. We're on the same coast, so we're the same. Perth is about 3 hours behind.
Is there something with the north? Is there a time difference with the north and the south though, or am I making that up?
North and the south is all the same because it goes down, so it's a cross that changes. So Perth is the sort of the western furthest city. I don't think we have anybody. Maybe one or two people from Perth, and then Adelaide, where Matt is, Frush, who I do Pepper with, he's half an hour behind, which is really weird. So when we do Pepper, I'll go 8:30, and then I'll completely forget that it's 8 o'clock his time or whatever, and it's just a weird to have half an hour time difference. It's just really strange, but it's just, I mean, the upside of the COVID stuff is that because I'm working from home all the time, I've just got more flexibility during the day, so I can, normally I would be in the office right now, I wouldn't be able to jump on a stream at all because I'd be work, it'd be a bit weird, but because I'm at home, I can just work around it, just move my lunch break or jump on, do some other, move some things. So it's a good time to do it just because everyone's at home, especially the next couple of weeks, especially if you're in Melbourne, no one's going anywhere.
Yeah, well, so I had the idea because when Celebration was canceled, I was like, man, I'm going to miss all these people that I kind of knew or I met at Celebration last year, and now I've kind of made a relationship or have a rapport with them. It kind of sucks that. I mean, it's worse for you because you don't get to come here and see everybody. But I was like, oh, I'm going to miss them. I was like, you know what? Maybe I can actually get some people on now. This is what I'm going to try and do. So, a month and a half ago, I sent out a message to everybody and I said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Let me know if you think it will work. And everybody, responded and said, yeah, I think we can make it work. What with enough time, we can figure it out, whether it's a lunch break or doing this or that. Or some people told me, I can take half a day or going to work. And I was like, that means a lot that you're going to, go into work late or switch your lunch break around or whatever to come on. So, we got.
Yeah, it's been good. Like, I don't even mind working from home. I've been home. I took parental leave. My partner went back to work after maternity leave at the start of the year. So I actually took leave to look after the kids. I haven't been in my office, like my actual physical office, since December last year now. So that's a long time to be away from your office and to be home in the house. But, we've got a trampoline, so it's not too bad. You can go outside, do some exercise if you need to. So we're lucky in that respect. But look, Celebration it felt like it was coming. It felt like it was never going to happen. As soon as we were allowed out of the country, they shut the borders, and we just saw what was going on everywhere. It was pretty clear that Celebration wasn't going to happen. When they said 2022, that was a surprise, but probably feels appropriate now. If it's going to be hard, it's going to be a long wait. But I mean, I don't know about you think of this, but just the fact that they've moved that Star Wars movie back to 2023 makes me think they're going to have another Celebration the year after. And then in order to hit that trailer release date, like they did in Chicago, have it in April. So we could have a Celebration in August, and then 9 months later, 10 months later, have another Celebration in April straight after. So we could all of a sudden have two celebrations in under a year after having nothing for 3 years.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, what they're going to do because, there's talk that they're going to do it with D23. So that's the Disney convention that they do. That it's going to be like D23 and then Celebration, and they're going to alternate years. But I mean,
they've got a Star Wars coming out that year though. They'll want to capitalize on it. But I mean, we'll have to see. Who knows? I'll opt for it. Maybe they can have one in Australia, and we have to travel.
Yeah, I mean that would be great. I know I've brought up the conversation a few times. Where is it going to be, Sydney or Melbourne? And that's always
we just start arguing about that.
Yeah. I did it the one time, and I think it got into like a good debate about art and cities and which one's more artistic and who has the better food, and it was just
who has the better convention center and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, it went way past the convention center was first, and then it went past the convention center to food and art districts and everything. And it's like my girlfriend. It was funny because my girlfriend, right after Celebration, or sometime in the last year, I don't know, Netflix came out with all these Australian shows. And she got hooked on watching them, like Bondi Beach, which is like a
Bondi, is it Bondi? Yeah,
Bondi Beach, which is like a real life Baywatch kind of. And then
like Bondi Surf Rescue kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And then
pulling like German tourists out of the water who swim too far out and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just hilarious on how clueless everyone is that goes there because they don't care. They just want to go to the beach. And it's like the one time they had the lifeguards and they went and they out of their pocket they paid for stickers and they put them on the "Do Not Swim Here" signs. And it was like, if you come up to a lifeguard and tell them that you read the sticker, you will get $20. And it took 3 days. It took 3 days before anybody read the sticker or came up with them. And they made the sticker. The next day they made the sticker bigger. The next day they made it bigger. So it's just
it's a full-on beach, Bondi. It's a surf beach, so it's proper waves, and it's not a little dinky just dip in the water kind of beach. Like it's a proper, I mean, it's an amazing beach. I mean, the thing is, when you talk about Melbourne and Sydney rivalries, and Melbourne's always like, we've got the food, we've got the culture, we've got the sport, and Sydney's like, well, we've got the beaches. Like Melbourne beaches aren't good, they're crappy, but we've got great beaches out of the city. But Sydney always sort of lord the beaches over us. But I remember when I went to Hawaii about 6 or 7 years ago, and there were signs like that as well. When you go to the water, it would just be like, please be aware that the water gets deeper as you walk across. You know, there's all this sort of stuff. And being Australians, we all live on the coast, and we're like, why do they need these signs for? It's so stupid. Like, duh. We're like, well, no, a lot of people don't live near water. This is the first time they've ever gone to a beach, or the first time they've been to a coast. You know, they don't realize that you keep walking, you'll go further down under the water. It could be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So, we get a lot of, beach safety is sort of drilled into Australians, I think, from an early age, because we spend a lot of time there. But look, if they had Star Wars Celebration in Sydney, it's still a mission to get from Melbourne. It's still a 10-hour drive, so it's easier than flying all the way to Chicago. But you'd still have to organise hotels and stuff, or we could all just stay at Turbo's house. See what he thinks about that.
It's looking good. So I think that might be the place. He could. He'd probably make more money if he sent the family off to stay at a hotel and rented the place out to all the friends.
But he's just put a pool in too, Turbo. So that's the exciting part right there. But the thing is, even if they did it in Melbourne, if they did Celebration in Melbourne, just given the it's Celebration, you're in the convention all day, then you're out to dinner, then you're out drinking, and there's parties and events, and I don't know whether I'd stay home. Like, I think I'd go stay somewhere else just so I wasn't coming home all night disturbing the family and stuff, because it'd just be, you'd roll in late and then get up early to go again. I think it would just be a distraction. But like, I know that Claire Stribling, she lives in Chicago, but during Celebration she stayed at a flat in the city that I think a relative had, just because she didn't want to have to deal with going back and forth between families, and the suburb she was in was a bit far out and stuff. So yeah, it would be cool though. I'd certainly take it. It would be, you'd certainly see how committed people were if they had to fly all the way to Australia for a celebration.
Yeah. Well, I already asked my girlfriend. I said, if they ever do it, will you go? She's like, yep. And I said, okay, that's, because it's easy to get away with a, California. I asked her if she wanted to go to California, and she said no. But if I said I'm going to Australia for Celebration, I think I wouldn't be allowed to unless she came along with that one, or when they do them in Europe. But
you'd have to tack on more of a holiday as well. Like, you don't want to just fly in for the Star Wars convention and leave. You want to, that's what we did. That's what I did when I went to Chicago. I put an extra week on and went to San Francisco for a week, just because I'm come all this way. I can't just fly in for the convention, then fly whatever it was, 26 hours or whatever it was, to come all the way back. So you want to see some stuff. So yeah, Australia's a big place, though. You have to plan pretty carefully.
Yeah, I was trying to convince people that they were going to do it in New York one of these times, because they could. If they did it in Chicago, they could do it in New York. And I wouldn't stay at my house probably. Well, I don't know if I would or not. That's the thing. It's like, would I want to stay at my house? Because it would take me 45 minutes to get to the convention center from my house.
Where in New York are you?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Yep.
But I'm in the bottom part of Brooklyn, like by downtown Brooklyn,
okay.
Park Slope. So, I'm 5 minutes away from the Barclays Center. If you have an idea where that is.
I used to work for Barclays in England, actually. So I worked for Barclays for years in England. So I remember when they were opening that thing. They were, doing their horn at work, going, we're opening this new Barclays Center and, new basketball center and ice hockey. And that's where the Islanders play, isn't it?
Yeah, they used to play out in Long Island,
I've been there. Last time I was in New York, the guys I was with wanted to go to an ice hockey game, and the first time I went to New York, we went to a Rangers game at the Garden, and then this time we went out. It was a playoff game as well. Somebody had gotten tickets for us to all go to this to Long Island to see the Islanders play in this playoff game, and we had to take like a bus and a train, and then we're at this train station in the middle of nowhere, and then there was like a chartered minibus we had to get on that would drive you to the ice rink. and it was just like in the middle of this car park. And I think it was just before they were about to move. It might have been the last year that they were there. And the seats were really like, you'd have like the person's head like about there where you were looking on the thing. And we were just talking to some of the people here like, oh, you're kind of sad that they're going to knock down the stadium. They're leaving. Like, no, we can't wait. We hate this place. It's old. It's rubbish. We can't wait to get into a brand new, lovely arena. I think they lost though after all of that, but it was cool. I quite like ice hockey. It was quite cool.
Yeah, so I'm not far from there, but it's just, do I want to come back and forth? Like, I honestly think I'd rather just get a hotel room. Around there, you can't really get an Airbnb anywhere because it's all hotels. There's not a lot of houses. I mean, you have to go out more to get like apartments or whatever. But then you're talking the same amount of time. So yeah, I don't know what I would do. I definitely, I don't know. I keep convincing myself I'd just get a hotel right there, but that ends up being an extra, $300 a night. Even if you split that between two people, when it's in your hometowns, you can save $1,000 by not having to pay for a hotel or whatever. But
we just got our Airbnb money back. So we'd booked the Airbnb month before the tickets came out. As soon as those dates were announced, the first thing we did was book the Airbnb because that'll be the hardest thing. I thought the tickets would be easy, just because they'd been easy before. We didn't realize there'd be the rush on them. And then we just got the money back. All the money back, because I think once they cancelled it, you could get half of it back if you cancelled, and then they were updating their terms and conditions week by week or every 2 weeks. We had to wait for basically those celebration dates to get into that cancellation area, and then finally got all the money back. So that was good because it was just like, oh God, I hope we don't. So we haven't lost any money at all, I think, on being cancelled, which is nice.
Yeah, that's good. I just rolled my tickets over to.
I rolled the tickets over.
So
I rolled the passes
it's
over.
easier it's easier that way. And then, I was in Echo Base last year with everybody, and it was just a madhouse because there was 18 people there or 20 people. So, I mean, you guys made it to Echo Base a couple of times, and it was just a big party house. And sometimes people wanted to,
which is great when you want to party all the time, but not great if you want to sleep.
Yeah. That Echo Base broke into 2 or 3 houses, and Brittany Brown did all the research for us. I was staying with them and did all the research for the place. And I was going to say, I think we had a place right around the block from you, but pretty much everything's like within a mile of each other. All the houses really they have over there.
Yeah, the house we had was right opposite Disney, and it was about a 15-minute walk to the convention, maybe a little bit, 15-20-minute walk, which is nothing. Like Chicago, we were Echo Base as well. We were 40 minutes away from the convention.
Yeah.
If you took the train, a bit less if you took a car, which was okay because it was sort of the fact we were near you guys, and that's where a lot of the socializing was cool because we could go for the party and then just go home and sleep, and it was quiet. But we were sort of conscious that we wanted to keep it just pretty much the same amount of people we had last time, maybe 1 or 2 more, but we didn't want to make it too big. But look, I'd be happy to, if I would have rolled that accommodation over, I would have just changed the date if I could, but because celebration's so far out now, I think it's only a year that you can book in advance. So I've just got to keep an eye on the date. I think it'll be a little bit easier because it's not going to have that flurry of people going, got to get the date, here's the date, got to get the tickets, got to get the accommodation, because it's so far out now. You just got to keep an eye on going, all right, when's the exactly a year that booking window opens up? I can just go in and book it. I think it'll be less mad around that time just because it'll ease itself in. So if I can get that house again, I'll be happy to get it. And everybody from our crew is all coming back again. I don't think anybody's given the ticket back. Like, why would you? You just hang on to it, and then if you can't go later on, get rid of it. You don't want to tell yourself out now. Who knows what'll happen in 2 years? Anything could happen.
Exactly.
We could all still be in lockdown in 2 years, mate.
Oh, God only. But yeah, that's. I had a feeling, that it was going to be canceled, and as it got closer and closer, I started spending a little bit of that celebration money on toys, and I have a pretty extensive book collection for Star Wars. I think I have about 200 books, and there's not really any novels in there. It's all the ancillary material and visual guides and art books and things like that, or just whatever. But there's
Oh, sorry, man. You go.
Oh, there's a couple of them out there that are kind of hard to find, or um, they weren't popular when they came out, so they only whatever the first run was, and then because they were the prequels, and then afterwards people were like, oh wait, we like the prequels now. Then they started, the price went from, it's like the one book, Dressed in the Galaxy, was like you can find it for like $500. Anywhere between, I'd say the average price is somewhere between like $500 and $800.
Oh,
And that's used, or like new or whatever. And I got it for way cheaper. The guys from Chronicles said, hey, do you have this book? And I said, nope. And there was somebody selling it, and I said, all right, listen, give me a good price. I don't want to haggle with you. And they gave me a price, and I was like, psh, I'd take that in a heartbeat. I mean, it was a fifth of the price, a fifth of the price that I would normally pay. And I was like, okay, that's great. I'll take it. And she said, well, there might be a little problem with the binding on it. And I was like, listen, I don't care. The book's together. Even if I had to go take it and get it professionally bound and it cost me $100, it's still going to be way cheaper, more than half the price of anything I'm going to buy it. I was like, I'll take it. That's great. And I've had books on my list for, 2 years or 3 years that I just can't afford to buy. And then all of a sudden you get this great deal, and it's like, the book's selling for $800, and, spending $150 on it doesn't seem too bad. It's kind of, the same like with toys. I don't have the money to go get a vintage collection, but
that's I just made I'll just grab it. I got my A1 thing. I'll just hold on 1 second here. So last week I got my number one holy grail of collecting, which, if we just hold this, hang on, which way is the camera going? There he is. Is that on card?
Hey, let me
Can we see that? Oh, there we go. So it's a mint on card Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight Kenner action figure that I've always wanted. You can take me off the full screen now. Yeah, that's always been the one thing I've really, really wanted collecting wise. I nearly bought one at Celebration last year, but couldn't rationalize the price. And then Matt Frost, again, Frush from the Pepper Pod, my good buddy, he'd started getting into vintage stuff, particularly Empire Strikes Back, and he added into this Facebook group, and there was a guy selling one, and I missed out on it, and I sent him a little note just saying, hey, I left a comment saying, oh, if you have any more, let me know. And then another guy got in touch with me and said, hey, I've got one and it's cheaper than that one. It's just, the only thing is it's got the proof of purchase off the back has been ripped off, because whoever bought it wanted to get the figure. I'm like, I don't care about that. Who cares? It was significantly less just because of that. And I got it. So I'm very, very happy. I always wanted that figure ever since I was a kid. I never had it. I've told this story many times that my mother bought it for a friend's birthday, and had it just put up somewhere for me to give to a friend for his birthday. So I had to stare at this thing and not open it and not play with it and not have it and give it to somebody else. So I've always wanted one. So fulfilled. Very happy to have that. And now sort of, do I go down that vintage path now? I wouldn't go on card. That's a one-off. But do I consider looking at vintage stuff? I don't know. Maybe it's just the lockdown talking, Michael. That you have to have a dream.
It could be, and that was the lockdown, and then the extra celebration money that was sitting there, and it's like, well, I can do a really nice celebration some other time. But I'm actually, what I'm thinking about doing is going to Europe next summer. So I go into Ireland and England next summer for my girlfriend's birthday, and then coming back and then going to D23 in California. So I can't get in trouble for that because we just went to
you just took it to Europe.
Yeah. And then go to D23 for that, come back. And then I have a year to save up for celebration. And the only thing I really need to save up for, I already have the tickets, and the house you put down, you're splitting with a couple people, so it's really not that much. All I need to do is come up with spending money and airfare, and it's $400. From New York City to Anaheim is actually kind of expensive. There's really no cheap way to get there. Like I know from people are finding flights for like $200 from Chicago to Anaheim. It just from New York, I wasn't able to find anything. But it was I could fly to Anaheim.
We've got to go to LA first. So yeah, we can only get to LA. So then we'll probably have to drive or get an Uber or hire a car, or I don't know. We didn't get that far into the logistics because we never got there.
Yeah, well, that's LA is like an hour north, but depending on traffic, could be 2 or 3 hours. So everybody's like, for me, it's worth the $100 extra I had to pay for the ticket instead of flying to LA and then having to pay for that money to rent a car or to come down with a car anyways. So it's trying to figure out, especially then when you're coming with a big group, it's not as bad. You could probably rent a limo for cheap compared to I don't know where you'd put all your luggage, but
that's the thing. You have a bag for like I had the celebration. I had like a suitcase. I was allowed 2 suitcases, and one was clothes and equipment and everything else, and the other one was just beanies. So the whole other bag was all those hats, one on your good head there, and I had to get rid of them because I'd started buying up Black Series and figures and getting merch and stuff, and that was all going back in the suitcase. So I had to kind of, as I was getting rid of the beanies, I was putting stuff into the suitcase and getting to a point where I'm like, all right, like I have no more room. Like I went to San Fran and Catherine Neen, friend of ours, she was in San Fran at the same time, and we did some shopping. I hung out, and she's just going like, I've just maxed out my space. Like I'm putting things in socks and shoes, and just trying to get that every little bit of space and trying to find stuff. And I know Andy Campbell, our buddy, he takes stuff out of the box. So we left the house at Celebration, and he just went to the bins, like the trash behind where we were staying, and he had this huge big armload of Black Series boxes he just chucked straight in the trash. And I leave my stuff in the box. I'm like, oh no, look at those boxes. Yeah. It's like he got what did he get? Oh, because I saw this video on like the most expensive Black Series or the rarest Black Series. And one of them was, I think, outside of the exclusives, like the Celebration exclusives, was the Mandalorian in the white box. Like the first run Mandalorian. So I think it was about $150 it was going for. And I sent him the video. I'm like, oh, dude, don't you have this? He's like, yeah, but I threw the box out like the day I got it. I just took him out of the box, and the box is long gone. I'm like, oh no. So it's gone. It's just another figure now. But Andy, he properly loves them, sets them up, and does stuff with them. He doesn't just put them on a shelf. They just sit there like I do. So
yeah, mine just kind of sit on a shelf behind me. Well, it's funny because when Triple Force Friday dropped, I was going to St. Louis for a 100th birthday party. And I was lucky enough to go see Struthers play. It was kind of like did the whole family, got in there, did the whole family thing, and I was like, okay, I'm leaving now. I'm going, but I had to take a cab for an hour. But the great thing about taking a cab for an hour, I think it was like $45 or $55, $60, whatever it was, one way. Where in New York, it's going to cost you $200 for a cab ride. So I kind of justified it that way. Like my round trip was going to be a lot less than whatever it cost for that. But and then got to go see the man play. The rock star of our group.
I mean, he had his acoustic with him at Echo Base. He was, the dude can certainly play, but I want to see him in his full flight with the electric going and the amps going and the lights and the smoke and all of that kind of stuff. That's how I want to see Struthers in his absolute prime. But that's we're sort of doubling around again. But that's the toughest, is the celebration itself, missing out on that, and it feels like all the stuff that was going to be announced at Celebration has kind of either leaked or been announced now, whether it's Bad Batch, Taika Waititi, there'll probably be some stuff about Cassian and all those, more about Obi-Wan and all that kind of stuff. Like as far as news and stuff goes, we've kind of found out about that. So it was really the social side and seeing everybody hanging out and having a good time and stuff. And even though we were really lucky with panels in Chicago, we got into pretty much everything. Even knowing now, going, oh, right, if there's no way we would get all those panels again, it wouldn't matter as much because it's just like, well, get to hang with everybody. And if we don't get into the panel, it's all right. There'll be our friends who we can hang around with and, stand on the floor and do all of that. So we got very lucky on the lottery last time.
Yeah, I got into every panel. Maybe I shouldn't have, but once. Well, I mean, they weren't checking anybody, and they were just letting people in. And then when they were checking people, if they scanned your badge, it didn't X out your badge. Anybody could use your badge then to do it. So, and there were still tons of empty seats. So it's not like I felt bad about doing it because it wasn't like they were turning people away. Well, they were turning people away, but they weren't turning people away because the place was full. You go there and the place was still half empty a lot of times. Well,
when we went to episode 9, we got there about an hour early because I remember King Tom got there early. He was like tweeting that he was already in there, like a couple of hours before, and Turbo was going, we should get going, King Tom's already in there, I'm like, oh, we should be all right. We got a spot. We ended up getting in there about an hour early. I remember we just walked in. I didn't check our phones or anything. And stupidly, like when we came out, I'm like, oh, I could have just screenshotted it, the barcode, and just sent it to some people and just said, come in, like if they do check, you've got a legit barcode and you can just walk in. But we weren't really thinking. We're just like, once you're in that, especially episode 9, once you're into that thing and it's all like, boom, 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 and the lead up and everything, it was all pretty, that was all you could really think about. It was all pretty intense. And we'd sort of rushed to get there. So we hadn't really had any breakfast. So I think I had a pretzel for breakfast, whatever it was, a bigger popcorn, whatever they could give me. So yeah, like next time we'll see. I mean, I guess I say that now, but in 2022, if they're showing something for the new Star Wars movie and you get a chance to be in the room, you want to be in the room.
Yeah, I mean, like even the Galaxy's Edge infomercial that they put on.
That was the only one we didn't get. That was.
I mean, well, that was the thing too. It's like I think it was Scruffy Podcasters the other day. One of their past episodes, the last couple of weeks, they said something about me sleeping through one of the Mandalorian panel. Like I think I slept through every panel for a little bit because I was going to bed at 3 a.m. and getting up at 5 or 6 to. The one day I slept in, it was till 8 because I didn't have to be there till 11 or whatever it was. But
that was that day.
On the move all day and getting 3 hours of sleep or whatever it was, and you take your naps when you can, and that was sometimes sitting down or whatever it was. But
where we the Galaxy's Edge one was funny because that was one big panel we didn't get into, and we had the Star Wars show that night, so we were kind of like, oh, we'll sleep in, because we got a lot more sleep than you guys because we didn't really have a party house. Everyone just sort of got home and slept when we got back eventually. And then we said, I think we'll go in a bit later. We'll just relax, and because we know we're going to have a big night at the Steel Wars show. And I think I was eating breakfast, and then they're like, oh, I'll check in and I'll just see because you get now streaming that panel. Like, I'll check in on the Galaxy's Edge panel, see what's going on. And I remember putting it on, and it was just like, the people there, I didn't know who in them were. They're all like the designers and the artists and stuff like that. And they said, oh, here's a really big thing now. We're going to play some exclusive like music that you'll hear at Galaxy's Edge. And they were just sort of sitting there. They just played this like song, and they're all just kind of going, like kind of bopping along. I'm going, oh man, glad I didn't queue up, get up early in the morning for this one to find out about that and the exclusive Coke bottles and stuff. But hey, I'd love to go to Galaxy's Edge still. Have you been to Galaxy's Edge?
I have not. That was one of the things I was trying to plan out. I was either going to go a day or two before celebration or a day or two after celebration, or try and figure out what everybody was doing, because I didn't even try and get the tickets for premiere night because I was like, there's not going to be enough time to do what you want to do. One of the rides is closed down, so you're going to have to go another day anyways. That was my thought.
We got them just because we put a day aside for Disney, but we were just like, well, when are we ever going to get a chance to do this?
Yeah.
If it means we can see 70% of something and that frees up other stuff we can see on our other day, then great. And if it's in the evening, we can, if we can see 70% of Galaxy's Edge that day, it just means when we do our other Disneyland, we can see some other stuff, because I've never been to Disneyland. I'd like to ride the teacups or go to, what's the one that Brittany Brown loves? Motor City? No, what's it called?
The Autobahn, Auto something.
Autotopia, is that
Autotopia.
it?
Yeah.
If you're listening, Brittany. So, we're just kind of like trying to maximize the time in there. So I don't know, I've still got that ticket. I've still paid for that. But I think they've just said that they're going to roll it on until, I think it's the same as Celebration. If you've got it, they'll just do it in 2 years' time. And then hopefully in 2 years' time, the ride works. So we might actually get to go ride Resistance. Maybe they've really tweaked it and and everybody can go on it, and it'll, if they can't get a damn thing to work in 2 years, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, you and I are in a little different boat. I mean, if I wanted to, it would be an expensive weekend, but I could hop down to Disney World for a weekend and go do Galaxy's Edge. I mean, a couple $100 for the flight, a couple $100 for the tickets. It'd be a $1,000 weekend, but where you guys don't even have the opportunity to do that because the amount of time I'd spend being there, you'd spend it in the air. So, it'd take you guys a week to do.
Totally. We talked about when Celebration was announced at Anaheim and it was going to be at Disney and stuff, and we'd hired this big house, and my partner and I had talked about like maybe we hire the house for an extra week and she comes over and brings the kids and we do Disneyland and we do all of that stuff, but they're just a bit too little. Like one's 5 now, which would probably be okay, but the other one's too little and it would just be too hard. Like you don't want to spend all that money, go all that way, and then they're just tired and they don't want to do it, or they're cranky, or it's too many variables. And she can see a lady dressed up like Elsa somewhere else. She doesn't need to see the official Disney version.
Yeah, I went to Disney World 3 times. I think I went when I was like 8, and then when I was like 13, and then when I was 16 or 17, somewhere around there, give or take. And I remember going the first time, but I don't really remember. Like I remember going, but I don't remember it. If that makes sense. So it's like it's that great memory, but I don't know if was worth thousands of dollars because I just remember the feeling, but I don't remember what it was. So, I mean,
totally. And that's also, we talked about that. Like you want them to appreciate it, and you want to be, number one dad, and they want to, you want them to remember and things. Like my cousin, actually, Glenn, I was talking about before he got me to Star Wars, he took his kids about 2 years ago, and they were, like 13 and 9 kind of thing, or 13 and 10. That's a proper, they're not forgetting that anytime soon, which is cool. I think 5-year-olds would probably forget them. The little one definitely would have no idea. She'd just be happy to stay home and watch Bluey or something. I think she probably doesn't even need to worry about being taken to Disneyland. She's got no idea yet.
So, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things that, I mean, like I said, for you, it's a little bit different because, you don't have one in your backyard or even a couple hour plane ride away where, that's the thing. If it was Disneyland, I mean, that's, a 5 or 6 hour trip for me. That's a little harder than hopping on a plane and being there. I could leave on, and be there in 3 hours. So, it's just a little bit different.
We're just lucky aspect. You got one nearby. So not too bad. And I think like if Galaxy's Edge is at both, then what are you worried about? It's pretty much the same deal.
Yeah, they're pretty much identical, I believe. I heard a few people say that there's a few small differences, but you would never be able to tell. Like just that something is, off
bigger,
by. I think so, but I think it's like something's off by a few feet or whatever. Like if you actually look at logistics wise and measured it out or something kind of like that, that it doesn't really make it that much of a difference. But yeah, they're pretty much identical, to what they can be.
We have like probably Tokyo Disney would probably be the closest for us anyway. But the thing is, I lived in England for 10 years, sorry, and Euro Disney in Paris. You can take a train from London to Paris for a couple of hours. You can get there. It's not that hard, but I never had any inkling to go to Disneyland in Europe. I think the American one, there is something special about going to the American one. If they'd had Star Wars, if Galaxy's Edge had been at Euro Disney while I was living in the UK, I probably would have gone just because, it's Star Wars. But I didn't kind of have any inkling to go to France and go to Disneyland when I was in France. I was sort of too busy eating really good food and going to the beach and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know until recently. There's like 6 or 8 Disney parks. I thought that there was like 3 or 4, and that was it. But there's a couple other ones that are just really small that they just plop down wherever. They might not be called, like exact Disney, but it's the same thing where they have Cinderella's castle or one of the princesses' castle and everything around there. They just, nothing is like Disney World though, even Disneyland. So.
There was rumors years and years ago that they were trying to get Disney in Australia. And there was rumors that they were looking to put it near where I grew up, which is about an hour and a half out of Melbourne. I don't know whether they were ever true, whether it was every town said that about it. But then there's an area in Melbourne they redeveloped a decade or two ago in the Docklands here. And there had been talks that they were going to try and put Disneyland there as well, or a Disney kind of thing. But never happened. I don't think it would really work. It's too far for people here in Australia, and it's not sunny enough all year in Melbourne, I think, to stick Disneyland there. But we have Marvel Stadium, so they put a football stadium there, and it's currently sponsored by Marvel. So it's kind of funny that a comic company sponsors a sporting stadium. But the geeks shall inherit the earth, mate.
Yes, that's what I just found this new app, Live It, which is like Instagram. But it's all just live, and you actually have to like get approved to be on it and stream on there. So it's not just polluted with everything. They try and keep it a little bit more together. And I've been hanging out on there, and it's just funny because just it's kind of like this, talking to people on Twitter or on YouTube. And the one girl's from Melbourne, and she was talking about Melbourne, and I knew what she was talking about and some of the slang. And she's like, "How do you know this?" And I was like, "Oh, I said I'm a nerd. We know these things. I have Star Wars friends." I had some other girl on there. She was singing today. She was doing her own karaoke show, and I had her. She started playing Star Wars, and I was like, "Okay, keep playing Star Wars." So the nerds inherit the world. But
yeah, man,
guys,
come a long way.
Josh has to go, so I don't know if anybody has a quick question for him. But before he goes, he's got to go do adulting.
Do what I do.
Yeah.
Adulting, yeah, unfortunately, which is a bit of a bummer. But look, thanks for having me on. I'm so glad we got to make it happen. And the world. I haven't done many live streams. I've done a couple with the Bantha Milk boys, and they've always been good fun. But to actually manage to pull one off where it's middle of the day here, it's lunchtime, and it's the evening where you are, and we get to catch up. It's not the same as Celebration, but it's something, mate. So you've always been a huge supporter of my stuff, and obviously the merch and the podcast and everything. So how could I say no, really?
And Josh forgot to announce that he's going to be doing it. So like this shirt is, let me get on camera here. It's a mashup for the Star Wars and whatever. What is the Bulldogs?
It is. Yep, the Western Bulldogs, which is Frush's team, not my team. But there's a few that's Australian rules logos, old school logo mashups with Star Wars. So it's very niche, but people seem to like them, which is cool. So if you go to TeePublic, and you can go to StarWarsSpelledout.com, there's links and stuff, and we've fallen behind on the merch, unfortunately, because it's just the way the world is. But we do have a Metallica Mothra one, I think is the last one that we did. And then, there was going to be stuff that for Celebration, but that's going to all wait now. We probably would have done beanies again, but they would have been different. So different colors, or say something different on them. So, you've got your genuine Chicago one, and you'd have your genuine Anaheim one, but we'll have to wait on that. But if you want to get some stuff, by all means, if you listen to the podcast, please do. We're just going to keep on keeping on. Get through this and look forward to what's next.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a Buffalo Bills Bantha T-shirt in the works.
Yes,
from what I hear,
it is happening. I know I promised that about a year ago, so it'll happen. Yeah. Don't worry, it's going to happen.
It's no hurry. It's going to happen someday. So as long as I have, see now you have extra time now, because now as long as I have it by next Celebration.
Yeah, you got extra. Yeah, you don't have extra time at the moment with lockdown, but I will have an extra couple of years to do it by then. But as soon as I get my life back, and I can, carve some time out, we'll amp the merch stuff out. Hopefully, hopefully.
And then if you have time for another question, Pauline asked, have you ever been to Toronto?
No, I have been to Montreal though, which I loved. I loved Montreal. It was cool. It's probably same as Sydney and Melbourne. Like that doesn't count, but I have been to Toronto and I've been to Ottawa very briefly, just passing through. I'd love to go to Toronto though, but I really love Montreal. One of my good friends from London was from Montreal, so we went over there and hung out. Very cool. I love Canada. Love Canadians. Go Canada.
And then you don't really have any of a collection, do you? I mean, you have a few things here and there.
I've got a fair few Black Series. I can't really. I'll try and move the. I'm trying not to unplug the computer while I do this. There's a sort of a wall of Black Series stuff there. There's a few vintage things here and there. I've got the Luke, obviously. I have a few comics. I've got a original Amazing Fantasy 15, first appearance of Spider-Man, which I can quickly grab before I go.
Sure.
So I've got a original. There he is. So an original one in very, very poor condition, which is why I can afford it. That I bought probably 8 or 9 years ago. And so my collection, I'm not a completist or anything like that. I've got a fair few Black Series and things, and I'm thinking about maybe getting into vintage, maybe clearing out some Black Series, but we'll see. But it's a bit of everything, really. There's no sort of real consistent theme. But the Luke on card was the one that I really wanted.
My feeling's kind of like, go for whatever you can, get or whatever's in your price range. And, if you can get 80 or an 85 of something, and then at some point you want to go ahead and sell that and then put that money towards getting a carded figure for it, whether it's a whole collection or just certain items. I mean, that's the way that I kind of think about it.
Yeah. I mean, with Spider-Man 1, it wasn't graded and it was poor quality and it was, cheap. It was more having it. I didn't need to have a perfect one or anything like that. It was just something that I really, really wanted. So, I don't know if I'll start going carded on figures. I think it might be a fool's errand, but I would like to get a complete vintage. And I've got some of my own that I could start with. We'll just have to see. And I commit. Stay posted. Next time you have me on, maybe I'll be deep in it and I'll be like, oh my God, I've started this thing and I can't get out. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere around 13 to 15,000 for the loose vintage, because and it's 4 or 5 of them that are the really expensive ones.
Yeah, I've got one I own, which is right here on my desk. He lives here. Is a pop-up Saber R2. There he is. That I happen to have just as a kid. We got it. The famous story that the Power of the Force figures ended up in show bags in Australia. All the excess stock they couldn't get rid of it. They ended up in their bags. They have it like fairs that you can buy a Star Wars themed bag. And my brother bought one and it was full of these rare figures. So the Pop R2 is one of the ones that survived, just not being destroyed, played with. So he's one of the more expensive ones. So I've got him. So at least that one's ticked off. But I think all those last 17 are kind of crazy prices. So
yeah,
it's, watch this space. We'll see.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff at my mom's house and my sister's house in boxes that I haven't seen in years. That I was when I was in town with them last time, I was going to go through, but because of things, I just wasn't able to. But I remember, I had the pop-up R2. Whether or not it's in the box, I don't know. What kind of condition it is in, I don't know. It could be broken in half, or there could be fireworks still stuck up its butt, or something like that. I don't really know.
It's always the hunt is half the fun. That's the thing. The hunt is half the fun. So. Yeah, we'll see. Once we start getting out and you can start going to markets and toy fairs and all that kind of stuff, we'll see how we go. But now, thanks to everybody. Thanks for the questions and like I said, follow the podcast and thank you, mate, for coming on. We'll get you on the pod sometime soon, hopefully when time allows it. But this has been fun. So yeah,
it was a good time, and you can find all of his information will be in the notes. So all you gotta do is click on it or copy and paste, and you can go right to all of his podcasts.
Please do. Thanks so much, mate.
All right, Josh. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you be safe.
See you later, guys.
You enjoy your 6 weeks at home.
I'll try.
All right.
Thanks, man.
All right, thank you very much.